Wrist Check Podcast, episode 6.
Yes.
The gang is back together again.
Yes, we are.
This episode is titled Unpopular Opinions.
Yes.
Oh my God. They're going to hate me. But first, let's get into it. I might be too loud. Sorry. Excuse me, everyone in TV land. Wrist check. What are we wearing? Let's start off with Rashawn.
Oh, man.
I see you got a heater.
Yes, the infamous wrist check. I'm rocking the Swatch Sistem 51.
Oh, legend.
By Hodinkee.
Woo!
Special edition and all.
Fire.
I think I've shared my appreciation for anything that was produced in the 90s.
Yep.
90s repro.
Respect.
90s sourced. 90s created. 90s inspired.
Yeah.
I'm a 90s baby. I'm doing it.
100%.
What gravitated to me the most is the California dial.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who don't know what the California dial is, it is Roman numerals on the top and then Arabic numerals on the bottom.
Love it. I'm a big fan.
Of course, the California dial was designed for bespoke watch designers,
Yep.
where they would share their designs with, their consumer and say, hey, would you prefer for this watch or the dial to be presented with a Arabic or a numeral dial? So for me, this right here just kind of speaks to that history. We shared in our previous episode of just our appreciation for design, fashion, and kind of stepping outside of the box.
Yep.
So that definitely checks those boxes.
And for those that don't know, the Sistem 51 is a series of automatic watches that Swatch makes.
Yes.
Which I think is incredible because a lot of people don't realize that Swatch, a Swiss-made watch company, who primarily makes quartz watches, does offer automatic watches
With
for a very reasonable price.
rotors.
And,
Yes.
I mean, they start at like $175, go up to like maybe $350.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
incredible.
And this piece has an exhibition case.
And they all have an exhibition case bag.
Yep.
And the rotors are cool too.
Yeah,
They're all
the rotor
cool.
signs
They're like
and
laser etched and stuff. Yeah. No, I'm a huge fan of the Sistem 51. Obviously, I know why you decided to wear that this episode. That was a smart move. Very calculated.
For our episode.
Strategized.
Ben, what do you have for us?
I went back to the tried and true, all reliable 1950s Omega.
Respect.
So, I mean, every time I look at it, it just puts a smile on my face.
It's a good watch. And tell us about the movement of this piece because I don't think you covered it before.
It's a bumper wind.
A bumper wind.
So if you don't know what that means, it means that there's no rotor inside.
Means ain't nothing wrong
Nope.
with a little
There's a
bumping wind.
There's a ball bearing.
I like that.
There's a ball bearing on the left side of this watch that you'll probably hear it if I shake it a little bit.
Ooh, get him.
It goes up and down to actually wind the watch like a rotor would. Except
It's very
instead of
intimate,
spinning,
sir.
it just literally bumps the top and bottom of the case.
Man, Perri's
there's
got all the
that.
puns.
I got the puns today, man. I'm on fire. Respect. I am a huge fan of that watch. I love it when you wear it.
What you got on?
Today, I am wearing. This is a special watch. This was a gift by my wife.
Shout out to Perri's wife again.
Shout out to her. This is the
Two
third
episodes in a
episode
row?
that she's getting the third shout out.
Yes.
We got to cut that out.
Stop being so good to him.
Seriously. And by gift, I mean I picked it out and she paid for it. This is a vintage Tudor Oyster Date Big Rose. It's got the roulette date wheel. So it goes between black and red colored numerals. Black being odd, even being red. Gold indices. It's in the Oyster perpetual case. It's got a Rolex crown buckle. The strap it did not come with is aftermarket. The strap was also a gift. It's a black gator strap, authentic gator. This is one of my favorite dress watches. I'm a huge Tudor fan. Anything with a big rose on it, I think is gorgeous. I wish they used that logo more. Although I love the shield.
Yes.
Not against the shield. I do wish they found more ways to incorporate the rose. I think it's gorgeous, and the Tudor rose has an interesting story to it with respect to the British monarchy.
The Rose of Tudor.
100%. So, yeah, definitely one of my favorite pieces. I enjoy wearing this a lot. I've been wearing it a lot recently. And yeah, that's my wrist check today. This is a good one. Moving along to what we were hinting at with respect to the title of this episode, Unpopular Opinions. We're going to keep it light. It's not going to be too heavy. But, or maybe it will get. Let's see.
It probably will.
It could be.
This is very unpopular.
But I put this episode together because I'm feeling away. And the first unpopular opinion is a question. Could be unpopular, could be on the side of most people. But the question is Rolex, you hear that? Excuse me. Is Rolex overhyped? Question mark.
Oh man, who wants to kick this off? Because I got a lot to say.
I mean,
So say it.
Yeah, kick it off.
Come on, spill the beans.
Get it off your chest.
Oh man,
Let's go.
Man, where do I start? I really want to say that I don't believe that there is a hype to Rolex.
Really?
That's definitely an interesting take on the.
And that's and listen, for all the viewers that watch Wrist Check podcast, if they didn't know, I am the protagonist in this. Okay. So
Playing your status, sir.
These guys antagonize me, but I gotta come back.
I feel like we agree about a lot.
We do agree about a lot,
but
I gotta play devil's advocate.
Respect. No, I love that you hold your own. So
Yes.
so let's get it. So where you stand?
So where I stand, I don't think that Rolex is a hype. And I'll be completely honest. I got into appreciation of watches because of Rolex. The only watch that I always have known, and most people that do love watches or know of watches only know of Rolex.
Sure.
I could go back into the story of, my father and how he wore Rolex when I was a kid and how I used to play with it. And I didn't really understand the value, but I knew it was something special.
Yes.
Rolex is very, very special.
Yep.
Very, very special.
That we can all agree on.
I don't believe that there's a hype, and I'm going to tell you why. Because people will stand out there in the rain, sleet, snow, or if there was heck fire for these watches.
That's new.
Heck fire?
Censoring yourself?
I'm censoring myself.
Okay.
I'm censoring myself. So I'm
All
going to say...
All right, Brother Smith.
I'm going to say heck fire.
Sure,
Okay.
heck fire. You can say hell. Okay.
It's in the Bible.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm going to be politically correct. But
Okay.
with that being said, people will stand out there and they will go ahead and they will come to a Rolex jeweler in a boutique, seeking for these pieces and have a dream to aspire to want to have. And the biggest question is, why do you love it? What do you like about it? So on and so forth. And what it does is it provokes thought and it inspires people to actually segue into other brands as well.
Sure.
So do I believe that there's a hype? Not at all. Rolex has the best product out there, and rightfully so.
The best product out there?
They have the best product out there because
Bold statement.
Yes.
because of the simple fact that people are, doing so many things to acquire them.
But okay, so with that being said, especially what you just said, don't
Now,
you
the thing
think
is
that's
that when I say-
defining hype?
No, but when I say the best product, I'm not saying the best made or the best creative or the best innovative, because we know of other brands that have recreated the wheel
Sure.
completely, just like smashed that wheel and created a new one. We all know that. So that's rightfully so. But there has never been a demand or a scream for a product more than it has been for Rolex. So there's no hype.
I mean, I agree with that statement. But you
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't you
please.
think that is hype?
How is that hype if you're aspired to have it?
Because you're saying that there's no other brand that has as much demand. That's because other people are creating demand for it, which is hype.
I don't believe that to be hype.
So then, what would you define as hype?
Hype would be a trend.
Don't believe the hype.
Rolex is in a trend. Rolexes have been collected by true collectors, aspiring collectors,
Sure.
and future collectors. So then that's not a hype.
Where I stand on this is I'm kind of in the middle. I think it kind of goes both ways. I'm going to say the brand is a little overhyped.
I'm gonna agree.
Yeah. I think some of the hype is merited, right? Like, not taking any credit from Rolex, they've built an incredible brand.
Of course.
Facts. And deserve a lot of the acclaim that they have. Facts. They have an incredible history. Facts.
Yes.
Right? You talk about the Explorer, Mount Everest. You talk about the deep sea dweller, James Cameron. You talk about the Submariner and the race to deliver commercially available dive watches.
Yes.
Facts. Like, incredible history. The hype is real. And it is from my taste, it's a little over the top. I think what I find, and this is just through my observations, I think you definitely have like your Rolex collector, which I have the utmost respect for.
Absolutely.
Guys who've been collecting forever. And this is their brand, and they claim that they planted that flag years ago.
Yes.
Then you have your watch collectors who have the Rolexes that they want. Again, utmost respect. Then you have this group of watch collectors that are new to watches, which is nothing wrong with that, but that feel like Rolex is the only brand that they should have or wear. And that is where I see the hype being astronomical, like very, very real and palpable.
But that's misinformation, and that's also uneducation.
And that's overhyped, right?
Yeah. Okay.
To me, that's overhyped, because it's like once you start getting into conversations where it's like Rolex.
Yes.
And it's like, I've talked to dudes who it's like, all right, but what do you like?
Yes.
And they don't know. They would buy whatever is available.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the state of the industry right now with respect to Rolex. Whatever you can get your hands on,
Sure.
most guys are going to buy.
Yes.
And there's very few of us,
Yes.
and I'm in this group, that if I go into a boutique or an authorized dealer that offers Rolexes and there are some available, and the salesperson is like, look at this, I'm going to be like, no,
Of course.
I don't want that.
Of course.
And I just went through that.
Yes.
And they were shocked.
Yes.
They were like, you saying no to the 41? I'm like, yeah, I want the 36.
Respect.
I don't want a 41.
Respect.
Call me when you have a 36.
Now, what I am gonna do, because I am playing devil's advocate.
Sure.
Now, in the beginning, where you spoke of Everest, you spoke of the deep sea excavations and everything that you spoke of. That's history,
100%.
right? Now, with history, if we know our history, of course we do. Hans Wilsdorf actually sponsored the first athlete
Yes.
with a wristwatch. Hans Wilsdorf was the first to actually stamp, or do like a double stamp on
Hans Wilsdorf is Phil Knight.
You know what I'm saying? Like on a dial.
Sure.
And it's all marketing genius.
100%.
And what I will say is this: why there is no hype is because you would believe that Hans Wilsdorf was walking this earth today. And that is his influence. That is infectious.
I get what you're saying, but I think most people who are trying to buy Rolexes, they don't even know who Hans Wilsdorf is.
You know why they want a
Absolutely.
Rolex? Because they see it
the
on
crown.
everyone else.
Sure.
Or
And
they see the price on
and to
Chrono.
the credit of the brand, they have spent tirelessly years positioning themselves to be a brand that was the trophy.
Yeah, if
Yes.
Hans Wilsdorf did anything well, he's a marketing mastermind.
Genius.
Absolutely.
Marketing genius.
Yes.
Brilliant.
But do you think that undermines those people that just solely want the Rolex because they're uneducated? Is that hype, or is that just people being misinformed?
I think it's both. I
It's
think
both.
hype
Yeah,
is
at that point, it's
misinformation.
both. Yeah,
So then you guys, so you're in the middle. I'm saying they're not hyped.
I'm saying they're definitely overhyped
Okay.
for most of the reasons Perry just said.
Yeah, I think there is a sense of like the brand is definitely overhyped.
Yes.
I do think some of it is merited within certain communities.
Yes.
Like for those that know, because I know a lot of guys who are like, they've been collecting Rolexes for years. My introduction to Rolex was as similar to you via my father.
Yes.
And he had one and it was like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
But, is Rolex my favorite brand? Absolutely not. Myself, and I would include you two,
Yes.
are some of the few people that I know that if we walked into an authorized dealer and they had Rolexes to show us, would actually say no to most of what they had to offer.
Yeah, when it comes to Rolex, I want very specific.
I know what I
things from
want,
them.
and there's only, with respect to Rolex, there's only 2 watches I want.
Yes.
In terms of like a new watch.
Yes.
Otherwise, like I think vintage is where it's at.
Yeah.
And I think vintage Rolexes are amazing. The value is incredible because, again, to their credit, they make an incredible product that lasts,
Yes.
right? And they have an amazing customer service where it's like, if you have an old Rolex, they will service it,
Yes.
right? It'll cost you, but you can bring it to them unquestioned and they'll service it.
Assemble, reassemble,
Everything.
disassemble.
And I think they are, for that reason alone, an incredible brand. But when y'all look at the market and I see what's moving and what guys are into, and the fact that you can't get one, it's crazy because I know that there's a lot of them that aren't worth getting,
Yes.
in my opinion.
No, you're right.
Okay, so look, you know what? I'm gonna challenge you.
Sure.
So of course, I remember where there was a point in time when there were watches in the case, and you could go ahead and you could buy a Daytona, right?
Yes.
Now this is where I'm gonna go, because there was a point in time when you could buy a Daytona, but you couldn't buy Omega Speedmaster.
Sure.
Does that mean that the Speedmaster was hyped when
No.
it was
No.
there?
We all
Why
know that
not?
Speedmaster is not overhyped.
Yeah,
But the
Speedmaster overhyped.
Speedmaster was in a very high demand, and there was a point in time when you couldn't get it.
Here's the thing: the reason why the Speedmaster was sold out and that older generation Daytona wasn't, is because the Speedmaster at that time was a better watch than that Daytona.
Yeah.
People wanted the best watch.
It still is.
You were able to compare them and say, "This is better for me, therefore I'm buying the Speedmaster."
In
because,
terms
again,
of value
it's better
and,
for me.
and quality, like if we're being honest, again, this is just my opinion. The only Daytona worth having is the one with the Zenith movement inside. To me. I think even Zenith makes a better chronograph.
They do.
Facts.
They make a more accurate chronograph. That's
I
why
mean,
they
the
have
El
the movement
Primero
in it.
is like, that's a grail watch for me.
Oh, of course.
Like, I want that
Of course.
in my
of course.
collection. I love Daytonas.
Yeah.
I don't need one. I need a Zenith.
Yeah. Well,
I
and
need
also,
I could agree with that.
the thing too is that you gotta remember, at a point in time, ADs used to give away Daytonas.
You used to get discounts on
Yeah.
Rolexes.
But they used to give them away. You were a good enough client. You bought a watch that was expensive enough. You buy a gold Rolex out the case from an AD in the 80s or 90s. Here's a steel Daytona. Thank you. That was a real
Crazy.
thing. That was a real thing.
That's wild. I never heard of that.
Yeah, there's plenty of articles about it. It was a real thing.
That's wild.
So, who really cared about a Daytona back then? Now, people care because it's hyped.
Yeah.
Especially when the ceramic came out. It was hyped.
But
Is it a pretty watch? Sure.
it's gorgeous.
But-
I love a steel Daytona.
Yeah, the reason why people want them is because other people have it.
Yeah.
We spoke about
Especially the steel.
Yeah, we
Like,
spoke about how
steel
watches
Daytona
were-
to me with a white dial, fire.
We spoke about how watches getting like sneakers last episode. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's hype.
It's
Especially
hype.
in the world of Rolex. Rolex and Patek. Hype.
I think what bothers me so much is that I am super passionate about watches and I hate having to talk to guys about trying to talk to them and convince them that they should look at other things outside of Rolex. Like and it's not to hate on Rolex. I love Rolex. Like my two favorite Rolex, I'm going to share one. I'm not going to share the other one because the other one I'm trying to get, and it's already too hot in the block. So one of my favorite Rolexes is the Explorer 2, white dial. To me, the most aesthetically pleasing. Everything about it screams tool watch, and it always reminds me about who they are. It's the one watch that they still produce that's like screams their DNA, and it's like this is who we are.
Well, the silhouette,
you know what I'm saying?
Piece hasn't changed for basically
ever.
And it doesn't need to change.
The Explorer 1 or 2 hasn't changed.
You know, I'm not a big Explorer 1 dude. I like the super vintage ones.
1016s.
Exactly. And then there was one that I love the 1016s. And then, you know, in terms of like one of the best 1016s that we would get, and we did a post on this, the Space Dweller. Fire. How crazy is that story? Right? Like this watch that commemorates like astronauts visiting Japan. Like they didn't even go to space yet.
Yeah.
But they're rock stars, and like Rolex is like, let's capitalize on that. And then it bombed.
So is that hype? Then that goes back
that
to
wasn't hype. That watch bombed.
But the thing is this though, but then that also speaks to the volumes of what they're doing. It's not hype. And it's called influence.
Well, that's
not hype.
This is why I'm in the middle. And I do believe a lot of the hype is merited. They do have an incredible brand that has spent decades building, and they deserve all the acclaim that they get.
Yes.
But the demand exceeding the production today, for me, is all hype. There's no reason why Rolex producing 1 million watches a year is not enough.
But they're also not the only ones that have that kind of demand issue. There are
but
other brands
they're the only brand that produces at the volume that they do.
The volume that they do, 1 million watches a year is enough.
If you want to compare Patek and AP, which are the two other brands in this category of hype, they produce 1/10 of the watches that Rolex makes.
Sure.
Patek makes 60,000 watches.
Tudor produces a quarter.
For sure.
And they're available.
Yeah.
Right? They do about 200,000 units a year total as a brand.
Yes.
Right? So you look at them and it's like you can get a Black Bay 58.
You might not be on the spot, but you get one.
But you get one.
Of course.
You can get one.
Yeah.
If you say, I want one this year,
you can
and
get
you
one
got the
this year.
funds, you will get one.
You can get one.
But if you got the funds and you want a Rolex this year, unless you're buying pre-owned, you might not get one.
That's true.
And they make 1 million pieces a year.
Yeah.
To me,
That's hype.
hype.
Okay. And you were saying that's like with the Space Dweller, that's creating influence. Influence creates hype.
Influence creates
hype.
creates
How many
hype.
people have you spoken to and say, "Oh, I bought this watch because of the Hodinkee article"? That's creating hype.
Because I think the key factor is that like a lot of these guys, when you start talking about it, they don't really want it.
Well, no.
They'll take any Rolex they can get.
Any one.
Okay, so what you guys said is hype. Now the question was, is it overhyped?
Yes. For me,
I think
you
it's
believe,
overhyped.
so you believe it's overhyped?
I think some of it is, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Then
Yes.
let's agree to disagree because
We're going to disagree.
Because to Perry's point, what he said. Let's
you
be
said
honest.
because we referred to hype. We didn't refer to overhype.
They're overhyped.
It's
How
overhyped.
many Datejust?
The hype is overhyped.
How many Datejust have you seen in a Rolex case that are butt ugly?
And the thing is,
Why
a lot
can't
of
I
people
buy
can't
it if I wanted to?
contextualize why they want that one
Yeah,
that they want.
they can't tell you why.
Right now, I'm not going to hint at it because I don't want it to get crazier than it is. But you know which one I want,
Yes.
and you know why,
Yes.
and you know me,
Of course.
and you know why that makes sense.
If you know, you know, and I know.
And I'm not sharing that.
Okay. Listen, when it comes to popular demand, they're going to be more rotten apples than there are ripe ones.
That's a great analogy.
Listen, do I have to go
And
back to Mr. Miyagi and wipe on and wipe off?
But I think that proves our point.
But that's not hype.
It is
hype.
That is cool. That is just infectious creation.
That's hype.
That's hype.
That's literally hype.
I don't believe it's
You
All right.
defined
It's
hype in your opening argument.
All right.
I
All right.
believe it's hype.
So
It's
we
hype.
we disagree.
We disagree.
You're on the island today.
I'm on the
You're
island.
alone.
It's hype.
Yeah.
All right. So moving along. Unpopular opinions. Watch design. Who does it better? The Swiss or the Japanese? How do you feel? I'll let you start this. You get this one. What are we saying?
I think when it comes to dials, I'm going to go Japanese.
Cool.
I just think the Japanese brands at any price point are just more meticulous in their design.
I would agree with that.
They're more design focused. They're definitely more just like, it feels like they're putting a part of themselves into the watch.
I feel like Japanese designers with respect to watchmaking have more to gain than Swiss watchmakers have to lose.
Yep.
And so they go all out because they know they have to compete with Swiss watchmakers who run the market. And there's what's great is that the culture is infused into it, right? Like, to keep it 100, Japanese designers are incredibly meticulous.
Yep.
And so details are incredibly important. And I think what's really cool about Japanese design, in particular, I think when you talk about Japanese design, you talk about watches, you're going to be talking about Seiko.
Yes.
Like if we're being honest.
Yes.
Right. And the cool thing about Seiko is that they offer a variety of products at, various different price points.
Yes.
But whichever price point you're fixated on, whichever price point works for you in terms of purchasing a watch, you can find a beautifully crafted piece.
They got it covered.
They got it covered.
Again, any price point, something for
Right.
everybody.
If
And
you
the
talk
Seiko-
about Swiss, you're at in 99.9% of cases, you're starting at $1,000.
Yes.
You're gonna spend $1,000.
Yes. And what I will say is this: what I think the Seiko Corporation has been able to do is take the same watch inspiration and design and history and everything behind it and create it on their own in the Japanese market. Because what I look at JLC to be is the Japanese version of JLC.
Sure.
They are the Japanese watchmaker's watchmaker. There's not a single watch that is designed by the Japanese that does not have a Seiko movement in it.
That's true.
And if you think of just that kind of culture and tradition, it's all family oriented. It's all one umbrella. Everyone respects each other. Everyone, comes together and they break bread.
And Seiko and Grand Seiko do everything in-house.
Absolutely.
A lot of these Swiss brands can't make that same claim.
So for me, man, Japanese all the way. I'm definitely going Japanese. And if anybody is listening to us, if anybody's listening to us, they should know that the Japanese are coming very, very soon.
I mean, people always like, oh, well, Seiko, Grand Seiko, oh, well, it's not Swiss made. So what?
Yeah.
If you're looking at a pair of jeans, you wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
Facts.
You would
Because-
say, oh,
yeah.
this is Japanese denim, I need it.
Yeah.
Why?
Well,
they
it just
have that
seems
same mentality with watches.
it just seems like they how do I say this? I'm trying to figure out how to express this. They have everything to gain. They don't really have much to lose. So their Japanese design is a little more daring, which is kind of funny to say, right? Because with respect to Japanese culture, it's pretty conservative.
Very conservative.
But compared to American design, because our design philosophies are so separate, for us at least, experiencing Japanese design, it is that much more daring. It's that much more risky.
Yes.
But it's always rooted in culture.
Yes.
It's always rooted in history.
Yes.
And that makes the experience of Japanese design that much more richer.
Absolutely.
And that's why I appreciate it. But with respect to Swiss design, and watches, you have an extensive history of like success,
Yes.
right? Like the benchmark is set.
Yes.
For me, it's kind of a toss up. I think Swiss design with watches has a very rich history, a successful history. What I love about Japanese design is that, to me at least, as an American, it seems like they're unafraid of taking risks. And so when I think about Seiko, particularly when I think about Grand Seiko, and I think about what they're doing with dials, they're doing stuff that no one else is doing. And
especially at the price point.
Especially at that price point, which is still, for most, I think, an elevated price point.
Yeah.
But I think what you get for $5,000 from Grand Seiko versus what you get from Rolex, Grand Seiko is much more cooler. It's much more interesting. It's much more unique.
Also, you get the technology part.
You also get the technology.
You get the technology. You get the design. You get
the
full package.
You get a vast variety.
Yes.
What can you buy
Yeah.
with $6,000 at Rolex? An Oyster Perpetual.
That's it.
Yeah, you have to wait 3 years to get maybe.
Oh man, talk about
Come
it.
on. You can take $6,000, walk into a Grand Seiko boutique or an AD that sells them, and you can pick probably 10 watches.
Yeah. It's true.
For sure.
So where do we stand? You Japanese. I know you're Japanese.
I'm
Yeah,
Japanese.
I think I'm Japanese too.
So it's unanimous.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're all Japanese. Japanese design. Excuse me.
Tongue tied.
Tongue twister. Is leading the way. They're leading the conversation.
Yes. Absolutely.
Moving on. Most unappreciated watch designs. This is a unique topic. I know you guys have your opinions and you feel a way.
Yes.
Who wants to take this and go first?
I definitely would love to spearhead this conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, we had yours pulled up.
I'm pushing the button today.
Push the button.
I'm pushing the button. My underappreciated design, I'm gonna go with the Girard Perregaux Laureato skeleton.
Okay.
I think that this piece is underappreciated for so many reasons.
Sure.
And I'm going to go into the history of Girard Perregaux before I get to the meat and the potatoes.
Okay. Let's get into it.
So Girard Perregaux is one of the oldest watchmakers that we all know of, outside of a few other brands, but they are up there.
Right.
They're up there in age. But they don't get the proper appreciation that they get because they are always compared to Audemars Piguet for their octagon cases and so forth. But if we all were to know influence is infectious, obviously we've had this conversation. Influence is infectious, and the octagon case was something that was, massively produced across most brands in the 70s. So when someone goes ahead and says, well, oh, that looks like an AP or that looks like an Audemars Piguet, it's like, well, did you not understand that everyone was doing that in the 70s? That was design language in the 70s. Now, where I am going to go when I refer to the skeleton, if, most of our listeners did not know, Girard Perregaux was the first brand to actually create the exhibition case or the quote-unquote skeleton.
Right.
So, of course, the first skeleton was a pocket watch.
Okay.
It was introduced in the late 1800s, creeping into the 1900s, in which it was the first pocket watch to actually be a see-through case.
Okay.
So for everyone that goes ahead and is like, oh, that looks like an AP open work or so on and so forth, Girard Perregaux actually was the one to lead the charge into your favorite trends and everything that you know and love. So that's where I'm going to go with Girard Perregaux being unappreciated. And I think that we need to do our homework and give this brand their flowers while they still lead the charge.
Respect. I think they hear you loud and clear. Ben, what do you got for us?
The Ulysse Nardin Executive Dual Time.
This is an interesting one.
Very interesting because it's a watch that no one really talks about when
No.
it comes to UN as a brand. I feel like you're getting a dive watch or you're going super crazy and getting like something from the Freak collection. This sits somewhere in the middle, and I think it's almost like the perfect everyday watch for that guy who has to go into an office.
Okay.
A lot of these corporate executives have clients, people they got to deal with multiple time zones, maybe across different countries. And a lot of them can't get their hands on a Rolex GMT, which I'm sure is what they all want.
Sure.
Here's probably the next best option that you can wear at work every single day
Okay.
and not get a crazy look on your face because people are like, how'd you get that?
Wow.
Because I feel like in the office, from when I've spoken to a lot of people, it's like a lot of these guys want steel watches because it kind of flies under the radar. At least
Yeah.
it did at one point. Especially when you're meeting with clients, right? It's like it's almost like a slap in the face. Like, I'm paying you to do a service for me, and you're wearing a gold watch.
Yeah,
it's like,
it's
am I
kinda
paying
crazy.
you too much? Like, that looks a little crazy. But now it's like, let's say this guy who is maybe in some level of sales at his office, right? He's meeting with a client, and he's wearing a steel Rolex.
Mm-hmm.
That's not under the radar anymore.
No.
Because now we're gonna look at that and we're gonna say, how'd you get that?
Yeah.
This, I think, is the next best thing.
Mm.
I think the design is perfect. It has those pushers on the left side of the case that almost disappear. Most watches like this, they're like absurd in design because they either have crowns or pushers that are just massive.
Yeah.
This watch, for the most part, is super sleek. You can get it on a leather or rubber strap, screw down crown so it's water resistant, and you can track 2 time zones simultaneously, and the pushers on the left side are jump hours. So you can go backwards or forwards depending on where you need to go.
Yeah.
So sub-seconds, independent date window, and a separate window for your dual time zone. It's easy to read. Doesn't have
It's super
big,
easy to
yeah,
read.
it doesn't have
It's
a big
super
bezel.
legible.
Doesn't have any additional numbers to it. It's just all there, super legible. You just put it on and forget about it.
Yeah. It's a cool piece.
Yeah, it's dope.
Yeah. For me, I was thinking, in terms of unappreciated design, I was more channeling like an unappreciated icon. And I went with, and this could be controversial in some circles, but I went with the Panerai Luminor Submersible. Or just Panerai, really, if we're being honest. I think the Panerai is, I think is an unappreciated brand. Whether you're doing just the Luminor or you're doing the Radiomir or the Submersible, the design is relatively the same. They all have that really wide cushion case.
Yep.
I think it's an incredible design. I like the Submersible specifically because of the subdial and the lever crown lock. What I love about Panerai is that it's unmistakable.
You know when you see it.
You know when you see it, and you don't mistake it for anyone
Yes.
or any other brand.
Yes.
There's so many dive watches, I feel like, even between like Rolex and Tudor and, you know,
Even the Diver
Seamaster,
300. I was
Diver
gonna say,
300.
yes.
Like, there's so many design influences that cross brands and like kind of transcend and run through both.
Yeah.
But the Panerai reigns supreme to me in just complete originality and uniqueness.
Agreed.
And it reminds me of like old diver suit helmets.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see that.
Now it's a huge watch. The most of them are around like, they're in excess of 40 millimeters. They're like 45, 47.
Yeah.
They do make smaller case sizes now. It's usually like when I see guys wearing it, it's usually like the same type of guy that wears a Panerai.
And he wears a nice suit.
He wears a nice suit. Right?
He wears a nice
This is a
suit.
guy who resonates with Italian design.
Yes.
So he wears great handmade Italian suits.
You know what? Fist bump me.
Boom.
Boom.
There we go. So this guy wears amazing
I've never
suits.
seen the Panerai and the suit together, so I can't.
I have.
Yes,
I have. And even if they're not wearing a suit, this guy is
very polished.
Not only very polished, but very particular about what they want. These customers, and I've dealt with Panerai customers, not shopping for Panerais or watches, but shopping for other stuff. They are incredibly particular.
Yes.
They know what they want. They know what they like. They know what they don't like.
Yes.
And you can show them a bunch of stuff, and they'll be like, no, this is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
It's a very particular client. But I think these watches are underrated, undervalued in terms of design. I typically don't wear big watches. I don't really wear anything larger than a 40. I would absolutely love to have one of these in my collection.
Yeah.
I think the design language is incredible. They were one of the first, I think they were the first company to do a bronze watch, do a bronze case.
They might have been.
They were.
Wow.
I'm absolutely certain of that now that I think about it.
Yeah.
And the guys who love these watches are absolutely, they're absolutely enamored by them. Mr. Ralph Lauren happens to be a huge Panerai collector and lover of Panerai watches.
Yeah.
Which makes total sense to me.
Perfect sense.
But I think it's an unappreciated design. Is it the most interesting or the coolest watch? Probably not. You can definitely find things that are cooler, but in terms of dive watches and uniqueness, where the brand is on par with their design in terms of like immediately recognizable, I don't think anything touches a Panerai. And the Submersible is a favorite of mine. They do a lot of them that are not aesthetically pleasing. They don't have the most stylish, but when they get it right, they really do.
They make a good California dial.
They do make an amazing California dial.
Yeah.
And then I just think just in terms of like the locking mechanism for the crown is super cool, right? It gives you something to do.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly pleasing.
It's very intimate.
It's super intimate, and it's simple. It's easy. It's just like it's solid design. There's something that's like incredibly Apple about Panerais that I love.
Yeah, and I think too. I mean, outside of Rolex, I think probably like outside of Rolex, and I'll even say Omega. I think probably like the third watch that you may have heard of or are familiar with is Panerai. So it's like okay, Rolex, and then it's Omega because of the clash of the Titans, and then it's like Panerai.
Yeah, and I think what's cool with them is that they really only have like 3 lines.
Yeah,
and they do different variations of those 3.
Yeah,
they have an amazing history, but they're just really really cool, and I'm a big fan. I think it's an underrated design. They're popular with a certain age demographic. Mm-hmm. That demographic is not young, but it would be amazing to see what they can do with younger people, in terms of focusing on them and marketing towards them. I'm a fan. I would love one. If they're watching, please send me one. I'll wear it almost every episode. But I think it's an incredible design, just from that perspective. So
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. It's a great choice.
Kicking it off into the next segment, new releases. We got a bunch of them. So
a lot of Oris up here.
It's a lot of Oris. Oris had a big 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. They released 3 new watches. There are 3 new styles. Some of them have several variations. The first one is the Sun Wukong.
The Monkey King.
Yes.
This is a crazy dial.
Yeah.
So it's an Aquas watch. It's the Aquas line. So this is a dive watch, which is a popular one for them.
If you guys follow, I shared it in the last wrist check.
You did, yeah. That was Looks better in person.
It looks
better.
great in person.
It does.
It looks great in person. That dial is just extremely mesmerizing, and like that other half of the sun just like almost beats you in the face. It just like it's very radiant. It just pops out at you, you know?
Oris is doing a lot, I think, in terms of design. Touching that one and then moving along to which I thought was really interesting, their rectangular models.
Yes.
That they released, which I think, no surprise, is definitely channeling like Cartier Tank.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially the new ones that they did. They came out with those 3 colorful ones.
Yeah, so they did. And so they've got several different strap variations and dials.
Yeah.
Which I think is really, really cool. I haven't seen this in person yet. I'm excited to get my hands on it. Mm-hmm. When I think Oris, I always think tool watch. I don't really think super duper luxe.
And that's where I was getting ready to go.
And this is a pivot for them.
Yes.
That I think is really interesting.
Very interesting to kind of go and dive into dress watches because, we know Oris to be very, very rough and robust and, just do divers and, aviation designed and inspired pieces. So for them to go ahead and go into a dress watch is pretty cool. I love it.
I do have one critique about this watch.
Please tell me.
I think the watch is beautiful. But I think if Oris is going to, and this is just from a design perspective, right? Just me being a stickler for design. If you're Oris and you're going to pivot to this type of like luxe offering, use the shield logo.
Instead of the Oris on top?
Yeah, use the shield logo. And the shield logo has Oris in it. Mm-hmm. Pivot to the shield logo. The shield logo, which they don't use often, they usually use it on the back of the case, is a fire logo.
It's amazing.
And I think it gives them an opportunity to differentiate the tool from the dress.
Yes.
And I was surprised to see that they didn't use that in this.
That's actually a great idea.
I think that logo is amazing. And I think if you're going to pivot like this, utilize it. Like, I would love to see that on this dial.
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, you know what? I never thought about that, P.
I think they should utilize it. They have so much in their history and so many assets at their disposal. Let's play around.
Yes.
Let's have fun.
And I think we spoke about it in I can't remember which episode, but early episodes, and just how these brands now have the luxury to go ahead and play and have
100%.
fun. And right now, everybody's trying to figure it out. It's a gold rush. Everyone's trying to reach that pinnacle to where it's like, we got one.
Yeah.
And I think listening to guys like us and sharing our opinions, because we do see it in other brands and how they do recreate. For example, everybody wasn't a fan of the Power Reserve on the Grand Seiko, and all of a sudden the next piece they drop, there's no Power Reserve on it. So I think people are very, very excited and inspired.
Yeah, because when I look at this watch, I think the design is beautiful. The case is awesome.
Of course.
The dial is awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot of empty space.
Yeah.
And you could fill it up. And
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be crazy.
Yeah.
But instead of just Oris, if that shield logo was in there with Oris in it, even if it was really small, fire. Perfect.
Yeah.
I love Oris. This ain't it for me.
I feel you.
At all.
But I feel
It's
like
when I see this,
it's something missing.
I just see a vintage Patek gondola. Is all I see in this.
But then,
And I think they 100% should have a dress watch.
Sure.
I just don't think this one is it.
I
agree with
but then-
what you're saying for design. It's I would have done the date at the bottom at 6:00. I would have made that the shield shape.
Yeah, something,
You
right?
can do a lot.
It feels a
I would
little,
have put sub-seconds.
or
it
maybe
feels a little
even-
incomplete.
Yeah.
even in that sector, maybe the sector is the shield. We don't know.
Yeah,
Something.
they could have shaped it that way.
Incorporated.
But
Sure.
see, but also too, that goes back to even what I was saying from just designs that we kind of judge and underappreciate is the simple fact that, you go ahead and you revert to it and you go, oh, that looks like so-and-so. But it's like we all piggyback, we all bounce back and inspire one another. So it's like maybe they weren't thinking that way, but, there was some kind of influence.
I mean, look, it's the first time they do something like this.
Yeah. It's not gonna be.
Next
It's not
one's
gonna
be better.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
Moving along, the third watch that they released, which has been getting a lot of hype, good hype,
Yes.
and I like it. I'm a big fan of
Love
it.
it.
I actually love this shade of blue for the dial, in contrast with the date arrow. The Big Crown pointer date, the new one. It's kind of got a navy dial. Can we say navy?
Yeah, definitely Navy.
Definitely navy. Sub-seconds dial at the bottom at 6. No coin edged bezel,
Even better.
which I'm a fan of. Super duper clean. And then the red arrow, pointer date. I think this is super classy. It speaks to their heritage and their history. It's a nice new take on it. I love the strap in contrast with the dial.
Yeah.
I think it's super clean.
Case size, perfect.
It's perfect. This is a watch that's a lot of fun. I would own this. I think this thing is awesome.
I saw this in person and I kind of fell in love with it too.
Yeah, it's tight.
I like it a lot. I want to see, I mean, again, I don't like blue, so I want to see what other variations they have for dial colors, but
I'm not huge. I actually don't own a blue dial watch yet. Not mad at this.
Well,
I like it a lot.
You know what? We don't even know. Maybe they're doing that same lineup that they did previously with the square case watch.
They could.
the rectangular
I think that would be
colors.
tight.
Yeah, just like I could see that.
I mean,
like,
they're definitely going to make new.
Yellow.
They're going to make a couple of different versions.
of
Of
course,
this.
like yellow, burgundy, red,
Yeah.
like the crazy.
I'll get down with your red.
Red
Or
will
burgundy,
be
like
red
a
will
really
be.
deep, rich color.
I mean, but of course they've done it with the big crown.
We did it with the diver too, the
Yeah.
cherry diver.
Yeah,
Moving along,
super cool.
Ulysse Nardin Marine Mega Yacht.
Yep.
That's a mouthful. This is a super complicated piece.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
1 of 30.
I mean, it should be. It's literally got a moon in it
and a yacht.
and a
moon
yacht.
and a yacht. White gold.
The
Yeah.
propellers
Yacht.
at the bottom for the
Yeah,
tourbillon
the
movement.
case is made out of platinum.
It's got an anchor.
Yep, the actual yacht on the dial is made out of white gold.
Yep.
And then that is a functioning anchor attached to a chain that moves up and down to
This is
show you your power reserve.
insane.
That is your
With the
power
winch.
reserve indicator with a winch.
Yes. it
The
is.
winch rotates and moves as the watch is wound.
Not
So
only
lift
that,
up
you have
your
to
chain.
guess the time because there are no indices
Yep.
or hour
Yeah.
markers.
But
You-
see,
you
that,
ain't worried that tell the
that,
time,
but that
though.
goes to just their disorder in watchmaking. And,
It's an art piece.
It's an art piece. These guys are very unapologetic. And they're like, sure, listen, we make 1 of 30.
What does
we
this
don't
retail
need
for?
everybody like this.
$321,700.
Yes.
Not for me.
Yes. That is the cost.
I get
Too
it.
rich
that
for
is-
my blood.
That is the cost of a weekend on a yacht.
Yeah. I mean, this is a flex.
To be fair,
So
you
fuel that
owning
bad
this,
boy
you ain't
and to
paying
pay
to
the
be on the
crew
yacht.
is $300,000.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Now, we have this in the new release section, so just to clarify a little bit, this is not a new release. It's been around for 2 years.
Oh, it has.
But the run is over as of
Ooh.
like this month.
So they
They
are.
have completed production on all 30, no more to be produced.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever's out there in the world is just
That's
what's
it.
out there in the world.
Hove,
And
where
from
you
what
at?
I hear, there's only one
Get
in North
one.
America.
Yeah.
There's only
So,
one?
in North America.
So
yes.
where the inspiration comes from is the fact that UN is actually the official timekeeper for the yacht club in Monaco.
Hove, where you at? I know you got one.
He should.
He should.
better.
After he hears this, he needs
I'm
to get
saying.
one.
Hove, Swiss, where you at?
Yeah.
Get you one of these.
So, this definitely speaks to their novelty and their heritage. They consider themselves.
I'm a fan, man.
the
I
shark
think
of the
I
sea.
think in terms of like luxury timepieces, especially like art for art's sake.
Yeah. Also, I mean, this
Crushing
thing has
it.
real function, though, to be fair. Like,
It is.
that
It
moon
does.
that's inside of it, yes, it's a moon phase indicator, but as we all know, the moon phases correlate with the tide.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
a tide
exactly.
indicator.
I saw the
It's a
tide
functioning
indicator.
Tide indicator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The blue that's in the dial is enamel. And that gradation from the lighter blue near where the yacht is to it being darker around the edges of the case, that's because when the boat moves through the water, it pushes everything out the way. So it gets from light to dark. It's the waves moving.
Yeah. That's the
So that's,
very
that's done
poetic.
with intent. Yeah, it's not just there to look pretty. It's done because...
No, it's definitely there to look pretty.
Well, sure. But it's more than that.
Yes.
If you're looking at a boat in the
Sure,
ocean
no,
from
I
the
get
top
it.
down, that's
I get
how
it.
it looks as
Yeah.
it's moving.
Yeah,
Totally.
if you can look it from the top down.
The flying tourbillon shaped like a propeller.
I mean, it's gorgeous.
There's also an adjuster on it. There's
It's
an arrow
gorgeous.
pointing on the propeller, so a watchmaker can actually
Hove,
adjust
you
if
should
it's
hire
going
me to
too
buy your
fast or too
watches.
slow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moving along.
It's dope.
This is definitely a new release I'm excited about. The Doxa Sub 600T steel and ceramic bezel options with a bracelet option. They expanded the line. So we've got several different dial variants
There's
to choose from
24
now.
total different variations.
It's crazy.
Yup.
They gave, I mean, Christmas is here. This is just in time. The bracelet is fire. I think it's cool. The dial variants obviously all speak to Doxa and their current offering. None are unfamiliar. What I do think is interesting outside of offering the steel bracelet is your choice between a ceramic and steel bezel. And that's where things get really interesting. That's where you get to have a lot of fun, I feel like. Because there are some dials that look really cool with the ceramic bezel, and then there are others that look really great with the steel bezel.
Yes.
I happen to be a fan, which I never thought I would be, of the sort of turquoise blue dial with the steel bezel on the steel bracelet. I
Yes.
think is absolutely fire.
That's the aquamarine dial.
Yeah, that thing is a heater.
The color of the dials actually have names.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's right, they do. Yeah.
So you have the orange being the professional, the
Yep.
black being the shark hunter, that kind of like coral blue being the aquamarine, the navy being the Caribbean, orange is the professional, yellow is the diving star, and I am losing it on
Sea Rambler.
Sea Rambler
Rambler.
is the
Yes,
great
I was
one.
waiting.
there
Yeah.
you go. I think that's the
Yeah.
one that is underappreciated. If we're talking dials for Doxa, I think
Yeah,
the
it's
Sea
the,
Rambler
it's the simplest one. I
it's
would
the
say.
simplest one. Yeah.
Which it doesn't photograph well, but if you see it in person, it's actually
It actually is pretty stunning.
But they do. Doxa does great dials.
Yes.
I'm not gonna hate on any of them. They're all really, really pretty.
So you're going steel on the aquamarine.
I would go full steel.
Would you
Aquamarine.
go
Steel
ceramic
bezel,
or
steel bracelet.
I'm going steel on aquamarine.
Yeah, I'm going steel in general.
I'm going ceramic on the aquamarine. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm tripping. I mean the Caribbean,
Because it has a colored
because it has
ceramic.
the color, because it has the colored ceramic. That's the only one that has the colored ceramic. The rest of them are black.
On the Navy,
Yeah.
the aquamarine, you're
The
going
aquamarine.
steel.
No, he was going
Or ceramic.
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 Because the ceramic on the Caribbean
Sure.
matches the dial, where
Yeah.
all the other ones are black.
Yup,
Yes,
that's the
true.
only one that's actually designed that way.
Yeah. I think it's fire, man. I thought I had my Doxa picked out in terms of what I would get, and then they released this, and now I know for certain.
Changes your mind.
I mean, that's definitely like, I don't have one yet. When I get a Doxa, that's going to be the one
Yes.
for sure. And what do these retail for?
Just under 2,000, I think.
Yeah.
it's like
so like
eight-
incredibly affordable.
Yeah.
No, actually, it's not even 1,800.
They're like
They're
1,500
They're 1,500. They're 1,500.
So
They
I
retail
wonder,
at
do
1,500.
you know how much it is with the bracelet option?
I think the price difference is maybe $100.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So I think it's like 14. I think it's like 1450 for rubber, and then I think it's like 1550 for steel.
Wow. Okay. All right, our last one. is the System 51 Swatch.
Yes, very strategic.
Hodinkee.
Very strategic.
Stoplight Neon Remix. This is a mouthful. I saw this. And this one comes with their children's model, the Flick Flack.
Flick Flack.
Which is great. So this one I thought was interesting because I've never seen a pointer date from Swatch. I'm a fan of the System 51 line because I think it's a lot of fun. But this one has a pointer date. So it's got a in the dial's a white dial. Around the dial, it has the 31 days of the month. And then it's got a rotating pointer built into the dial where you have a yellow square that moves from date to date. Now, this watch is inspired by a vintage watch that they did, which was known as the Stoplight. That watch, which I've looked up after seeing this, is absolutely fire.
Yes.
That one was quartz. This is a 1990s
Yes.
watch.
But that speaks to just my infatuation of anything produced in the 90s.
I wish that they almost reproduced this one.
Yeah.
They
Like,
should have reproed this.
I like
this
better.
as an automatic watch,
Yes.
fire. I'm all over this.
Yes.
So now when Hodinkee, I was doing some research and I was looking into it. Hodinkee released this one. These were available, the actual vintage piece.
Yes.
Since the release of the Hodinkee one, these have all sold out.
Oh, of course.
You know why?
Oh,
They created hype.
hype. Don't believe the hype. But they did, and unbeknownst to those who were selling, clearly had no clue when you look at the prices that they sold for, because they all sold them for dirt cheap.
Oh, of course.
60, 70 bucks.
Yes.
Like
crazy.
nothing. But now they're all gone. I think the repro is dope. I think it's cool that it comes with the Flick Flack. For those who are
Does it come with the Flick Flack? You have
It
to go
does. They
separately?
come together.
Okay.
It comes with the Flick Flack, which I think is really cool because you, especially for Christmas,
Yes.
for those of us who are parents, you get kind of like instead of a his and hers, like a me and mine,
Yes.
right? Which I think is really, really cool.
That's really
Definitely appeals to me as a father. So I love that Hodinkee did this. I think the repro is dope. I'm all over it. It's $175. I'm gonna get it. I think it's dope, but I definitely want the repro.
Yes.
I mean the original.
Have you seen what they're going for now? Are they up?
The repro? I mean
Yeah.
the original?
Yeah.
No one has them
Yeah,
left.
'cause
They're
they probably
gone. All the
brought
ones
them
that
out.
were available have sold.
They're gonna
I'm
probably
sure
spit them out.
some
They'll pop
someone's
up.
gonna pop up and they're
Yeah.
gonna see this and they're gonna be like, oh, $500. Like
Of
for
course.
sure.
I mean, the same thing happened with the Grand Prix collection of the Swatch Chronos.
Exactly.
There's specific ones where they are running for like $600 to $1,000.
I think that's cool that Swatch is getting their moment too in this whole watch craze that that people are able to resell swatches, period.
Yeah,
Because there was a time it was like you could try to resell it, no one wanted it.
of course.
And now that's like actually a thing. So there are sort of benefits to the hype of sorts, right? This is all a byproduct of that.
Yes,
So the hype is real.
I agree with the hype.
It's
I never said-
overhyped
Now that's the thing. We spoke
and
of
is
hype.
bleeding into other brands.
We spoke of overhype. Hype, I'm down for. Overhype, that's where we had our disagreement.
Yeah, but it's crazy. You said Rolex wasn't hyped at all.
It's not hype, man. I don't believe it to be hype.
But I think it's odd that like Hodinkee got with Swatch and repro'd it. Because if I'm Hodinkee and I saw this, I'm like, do this again. Just change the color of the dial.
Yeah, but that's kind of what they did with the Flick Flack. Kind of like,
Just do this.
of course.
Just do this is the heater. This is what people want,
Yes.
right? Do this.
We don't know. Maybe they'll do it in the future.
They need to. You do this as an automatic watch, Swatch is on fire.
Oh, yeah. Or maybe Swatch does it. Maybe, we don't know.
Swatch, if you're listening, do the stoplight with the stretch steel bezel.
Bracelet.
Bracelet,
And
sorry.
make it automatic.
And make it automatic. Heater. You're going to sell thousands.
Yes.
This thing is fire. I mean, I would get this in a heartbeat. This is a no-brainer.
Oh, yeah.
If they release this, even at like $200, I'm slapping the buy button. This is
Apple
on my
Pay.
wrist.
Agreed. 100%.
Heater.
100%.
Yeah. So that about does it for episode 6. That does it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Thank you all for watching. Again, please follow us at Wrist Check Pod on Instagram. We are also now available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts.
Spotify with video.
And with video. So you can watch this on Spotify as well. So we're all over the place. We're growing. We're getting busy. You guys have anything you want to say to the people out in TV land?
Listen, to all the people out there in TV land, we appreciate you guys for listening. It's amazing to talk watches and do the things that we do and share our experiences and our enthusiasm. So truly humbled and thank you guys.
Much appreciated.
Peace.
Peace.